what's up guys? My name is Urosh, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at how to create chords like Rufus Du Sol. I listened to a couple of his tracks lately and I really liked them. And some of them have a very unique sound, so I really like that. But I also recreated the chord progressions of 4 of his tracks, and I have 4 tips with you that I want to share. Also, I have 2 tips from the other Ben Bomber video. If you watch that one, those still apply. But the first step would be to not using the thirds, and this is actually a really common theme in a lot of his tracks. Is when you have a chord, don't use the third note of the chord, if that makes sense. We have a voicing that is first the tonic chord and then the seventh, not the seventh, the tonic note, and then the fifth, and then the tonic and the fifth, and blah blah blah. So you go on. So let's just take a look at the first track. The first track is Rufus Du Sol, On My Knees, and let's put this to full screen. Okay, so if we look at the first track, we can see that the song starts on F, but I didn't use any thirds, right? So we have F, C, F, and C again, right? I used four note voicing. But yeah, let's listen. So the Beatport, if you go on Beatport, it will tell us that this song is in F minor, but actually it isn't. At first, when I first heard it, I thought it was in a minor key as well, but I don't think it is. So let's look at the chords. We have an F chord without the third in it, so we don't know if it's a major or minor, right? Like if I would make it minor, right? It sounds too sad for if you compare it to the original. If I put major, actually this one is better, but in the beginning I don't think there are any thirds. So we have F without thirds, we have B flat without thirds, and we go down to a C sharp also without thirds, and the last chord is F sharp also without thirds. So he doesn't use thirds until the break part, so that's really interesting. So let's look at that. Right? And in his song Alive, I think, yeah, Alive, here I also didn't use thirds. So here I did use it here. Yeah. So let's listen to this.
There's a pain in my chest that I can't describe. It takes me down and leaves me there.
Right, so the chords here are A flat without thirds, F sharp without thirds, and then E flat without thirds. Then we have B major, I think. Yes, and B flat without thirds, and then A flat without thirds. So that's our chord progression, and I think it repeats throughout the whole track. Then we have Inner Bloom, bum, 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 bum. And here, well, okay, what's with this note, man? Here we also don't have thirds. We have C. Let's put this one away. We have C chord without any thirds, right? Right, here we have an E flat sus. Yeah, like this. right? So we have the first chord that doesn't have a third in it, then we have a third, and then we also have a third, which is G minor here. So we have C without the third, E flat sus, and a sus2, I think. Yeah, or yeah, E flat sus2, and then G minor, and then back to C without thirds, E flat, and then yeah, this one is E flat sus2, and then the last chord is B major. So yeah, that would be my first tip, is to use chords that don't have the third in them. So you can actually bring the thirds later, or you can use one chord without the thirds, the second chord with thirds, then another one without the thirds, you know what I mean? So you can really experiment and do your own thing. So the next tip would be to create chord variations. And you don't have to do this for every track, but if we look at the first track, which is On My Knees, which is probably my favorite, it has a lot of variations. So here in the beginning, we have like this verse 1.
Looks like there's rain up ahead, like there's a crack in the head.
Right, so we have those chords that I already said before. We have F without thirds, B flat without thirds, C sharp without thirds, F sharp without thirds, and then, you know, F. But here is the second variation of the chords, and basically we're just changing this last chord. Before it was on F sharp without thirds, but now we're just having B flat, you know, so it's a bit different. So let's hear that.
You got me begging, baby. Looks like I'm on my knees again.
So right, if I would put F sharp here, F sharp without thirds, like before, it won't sound great. It will sound wrong, right? Right? It sounds fucked up. So as you can see, we have one variation of the chords for the verses, and the other variations of the chords for the kind of chorus part, right? When the drop hits, of course it's not like a big variation. It's only one chord difference, but you know, whatever. So, and here when the verse 2 begins, we have the same chords as before.
Looks like the tables are turned, like there's a change in the weather.
So yeah, that would be my second tip, create chord variations, because also here in the inner blue, we also have a variation basically. This is like the first chord progression, and the last chord progression is basically the same, but the last chord is different. So instead of going to a G minor, we're going to a B flat major, right? So that would be the second tip. The third tip would be to create, no, not to create, but to use sus chords or seventh chords, because they will give you a bit of tension, and it really helps. I think in 2 of his tracks he uses, but let me just remember which one. Oh yeah, in Inner Bloom we have E flat sus2 here, right? So let me just put this away without it. Right, but you want some tension, you add this note. Right, so he uses sus chords on the second chord. And this is actually the same as he does in his song Always. He also uses sus chords on the second chord, right? Right, this is a sus chord, as you can hear it, and this one here as well. So let's listen to this. And this is also sus here. If you would, you know, play them all together, it's a sus chord. So, you know, you can see that these sus chords really add a bit of tension because they want to resolve somewhere, right? I'll actually make a separate video just on sus chords because I think they're really useful and they're quite often used in this type of music. Yeah, that would be my third tip. The fourth tip would be to use chromatic modulations, and we can see that in the On My Knees song because here when the chords actually come in, I talked before that he didn't use thirds, but when the break starts, we actually get the thirds in it. So it's like a really interesting chord progression. Let's just listen to it.
Looks like I'm on my knees again. Looks like I'm on my knees again. Looks like I'm on my knees again. Looks like I'm on my knees again.
And what's actually happening here, in the beginning I said that Beatport said that this song is an F major, but then in the like the break part, you get like F major, right? Beatport said it was F minor, so that's really funny. You get F major chord, and then you have this B flat still without the thirds, but the third chord is C sharp major. I actually made it seventh here, right? And this is actually called chromatic mediant modulations because mediant means third. So if you look at the note F, right, and it has thirds, so we have A. A would be a third from an F, right? And also A flat, right? And also C sharp, right? Because you go 1, 2, 3, it would be D, and C sharp, right? Right? That would be also a mediant from F. And both chords are major, and they both have a common note, which is an F here, right? So basically when you're making these kinds of chromatic modulations, it's really interesting if you can see what your chord is and then go a third up or a third down. It can be a major or minor third, right? And it's really nice if you have some common notes because it will create the transition a lot more smoother. And in this case, it works really, really nice. And then for the last chord, it's like really interesting because you go from an F sharp major to an F major, right? And you have like this half step down modulation, right? Which is also used a lot in movies, right? Right, it's a really nice sound. You could make also, if you had here minor chord, going down to a minor chord, a half step down would create like this some sort of really ominous sound, like more horror type sound. So really interesting stuff what's happening here. And yeah, just try out chromatic modulations, especially if they involve a third in them or if they have some sort of a common note. Okay, so yeah, I think those would be all the tips. Also, again, like I've said before, you can use the same tips as in the Band Bomber version. So if you look at the chords, these chords are different from these chords, right? And these chords, these are all different structures and rhythms, and also write in modes because the last chord, the last chord, what the fuck am I talking about? The last song always is supposed to be, if you look on Beatport, it's supposed to be on E flat minor, but in actuality is an A flat Dorian mode. Right, this chord tells us it's in a Dorian mode. So let's just listen to the progression. Right, so the chords here are A flat minor, then going down to an B sus2, and to a B major, B major, yeah, E flat minor, and then the last chord is C sharp major, and then sus at the end. So yeah, this is made in Dorian mode. I'll actually create a separate video just for Dorian mode for Anjuna-Deep for All Day a Dream. So if you want to learn that, subscribe, like the video, and yeah, if you have any questions or if you know some tips about his music, let me know in the comments. And that's it, I guess. Here is snowing a lot, and yeah, hope you have a good day. Enjoy, guys, and talk to you soon. So before I say goodbye, let's just recap. Not use thirds all the time. Experiment without them. You can bring them in the most important part. You can bring the thirds in. Use sus chords, sus2 chords, sus4 chords. Create some variations of the chords that we have a progression. Create another progression, but using one chord differently, or just mix it up a bit. And yeah, use a bit of chromatic modulations, and yeah, modes, chord lengths, and that's it, I guess. So hope you enjoyed, and have a good time.